So today I'm joined here with Brett of Nightwood Guns, and we're going to discuss our recommendations and reviews, both positive and negative, for products out there. Why we give something a positive review, why we give something a negative review, and what that means to us and what that means to you when we make a review like that.
Yeah, so I know that whenever I do a positive or a negative review, I get really excited about positive reviews. And with negative reviews, I always kind of dread uploading it. And there have actually been times where I have considered not doing a review on a firearm I have a negative experience with just because of bracing for impact. And I know a lot of people will think that you want to do a negative review because it gets lots of views, you're going to make lots of ad revenue on it. And that's just not true. They do get a lot of views, but as far as ad revenue goes, we're
We make
talking,
nothing. We
it's
make
like,
nothing
yeah,
on YouTube,
it is an absolute joke. We'd be better off
especially as firearms YouTubers.
yeah, we'd be better off making a positive video to get into bed with the people in the industry, because you could create a positive relationship by making a positive video, and then you'd be better off because you'd be making sponsorship money instead of the pennies that YouTube pays us. So some people claim that you want it for the attention. I don't want negative attention. I want positive attention. So a lot of thought and effort goes into whether or not a review is going to be positive or negative, because I don't want to cover up negative stuff because it just makes me feel icky inside. I have integrity for now, until SIG cuts me $100,000 check. Then well, if you see me wearing a SIG hat and like a SIG shirt and all of this stuff, and I'm like doing only SIG videos, you'll know what happened. But until then, like, I'm not going to cover up negative stuff I see in firearms, even firearms that I really like. Like, for example, my EDC is a staccato. In my review for this gun, I talk about how probably the weakness of this gun is how slow the reloads are because you have to hit the slide stop with your offhand instead of your shooting hand. So it's like I talk about stuff that I don't like about the guns that I love. I don't cover it up because staccato is not cutting me that $100,000 check yet. Staccato, I'm here whenever you're ready. Just a couple 100,000 more subscribers and I'm in.
So when I make a positive review or negative review, I think through a certain level of criterion. What is the gun like on its face? Is it reliable? Is it durable? Does it do what it's advertised? Does it what is its price point? Is it $1,000 for a $200 gun in reality, or is it, am I getting my money's worth? And then beyond the gun itself, what is the quality control like of that series of handguns? Right, that's something I have to look at beyond just my sample size of one. I try to, at least. And what is the customer service experience like if I have to deal with that? So something like Glock that has great customer service, that has pretty good quality control that I've seen, has a good product out of the box. It's not perfect, right? I modify my Glocks. As you can see, this Glock's been stippled, and I have some Glocks that have tons of modifications, more money into the Glock than it's worth. But it's an out of the box. Yeah, that thing's, like $2,000, I'm sure, invested in
Yep.
that thing. But you're getting your money's worth with the original product. It's just there's some things you'd like to change. And quality control, reliability, it's all there. So it's pretty easy to recommend Glock versus other companies out there. It could be harder to recommend their product. Kind of like Brett was saying, when it comes to those negative reviews, not only does it bring negative attention to your channel and does it make it harder to get in bed with companies, because a company's gonna be a little less likely to send you something if there's a chance that you might make a negative review, right? No one wants to send a product out to anyone to get a negative review. So when I make a negative review, I don't just think about, okay, what is this going to do for the channel or anything like that. It's more, what happens if I put a video out there saying, don't buy this product? And someone could have bought that product and now they're buying nothing, right? Someone sees my macro video. They decide, you know what? Only gun I was interested in was the macro. And I know people like this who literally are interested in one thing and one thing only. And if that thing, they get soured on it, they don't want any involvement in that field at all. And this isn't some hobbyist thing only. Guns, firearms, accessories, gear, it is life-saving equipment. So if I end up turning someone down from firearms as a whole because of one video, that's a big responsibility. The fact that that macro could have saved their life and they don't buy it, that's just as important as they buy the macro and it fails them and they lose their life. So both those things hold weight to me. And I'm not saying I'm some great authority on what you should and shouldn't buy, just saying that when I make a recommendation of something good or something bad, I do not take lightly what that recommendation means, because there are plenty of people out there I know who do value my opinion. For one reason or another, they will actually take what I say and think about it, at least consider it. Same with Brett. Brett's, about 4 times as big as me when it comes to his channel at the moment. And there's plenty of people out there who I know value Brett's opinion. I value his opinion just as a friend. So I take, and I know Brett same way, if we say something positive or negative, we're really considering, hey, what are the ramifications of me putting that content out there? How is that going to affect people? How is that going to affect people getting into firearms or people that are already in the firearm space?
Yeah, and for me, when I do a review, I kind of have this hierarchy of importance. Number one is reliability. Does it function with every type of ammunition on the market? Does it have any hiccups, any reliability issues? I know some companies will put a blanket break-in period to cover their butts. I kind of give those a little bit of leeway, and it's like, does it function after that break-in period? If it does, boom, I recommend it if you like it. Number two, beyond that, is going to be quality control and the customer service experience. Like you said, I don't want to recommend a gun where if it has a problem, the company's not going to take care of you, or it is likely to have an issue. Even something as silly as this P365, that after a box of ammo, the rear sight started to drift just a little bit. And it's going to start drifting more because I can almost push it and move it. It's one of those things where I've seen enough QC issues over there that I hesitantly recommend it, because SIG's probably going to take care of you in certain areas, but there are other areas like finish related issues where SIG won't take care of you. And that's why I mentioned in the review, this gun is 100% reliable. I had no issues with it, but be aware that this one had a finish issue. You might have that issue since it happened to this example. And if it happens, they won't take care of it. So I want people to be aware of that. I want to give people the information that I would want to be receiving from a friend if I were interested in a firearm. And then number three beyond that is just going to be quality of life stuff like grip texture. For example, Glocks, you see that I have these handle grips on there that I'm testing for the channel, but the grip texture on Glocks is typically not very good. It's not grippy. So there's stuff like that where I'm like, hey, the grip texture isn't great on Glocks, but there are solutions for it, versus like the Spectre series of the P320s and P365s has a great grip texture that I 100% recommend, even though I've had other issues with that. That stuff is less important. At the end of the day, it's a firearm, it needs to function, and you need to know that if you have an issue with it, the company stands behind their product. After that, it's just personal preference with features.
So a consideration that you should have as the viewer is, where is that firearm or firearm product coming from? For instance, if I say, go buy the Glock 17, I bought this Glock 17 with my money. Glock didn't send it to me. No one sent it to me. I went out there and bought a Glock 17. Versus this Go-Utar Red Dot, they sent me this. I spent no money on this product. So when it comes to that, if I'm a YouTuber who does this for a living or has a very large channel and requires companies to send them things to constantly and consistently make content, if let's say Go-Utar sent me things all the time. They sent me a new optic once a month, one of their new offerings all the time. And one time I make a bad video, I could lose the relationship with them. And that has happened, not with like cheap China companies. I'm talking about mainstream firearm companies with larger YouTubers, larger than both of us, in which they have had a relationship with a company, a long-term relationship, and they had one bad instance of a product. And they said, hey, XYZ's company product, I had a problem with it. Their customer service fixed it, but hey, there's a problem with this. And that company has completely blacklisted them, made them send guns back that they originally said they could keep, and would no longer send them anything again, and had zero relationship with them ever again. Just over one instance. And I'm not talking about, like I said, not cheap China companies. I'm talking about big mainstream companies do those sorts of things. And a lot of companies have these non-disclosure and also non-defamation agreements where you can't say negative things about the gun if it's sent to you. So one advantage, something to think about, if I'm making a video, if Brett's making a video, until we, become Staccato Shills or Glock Shills and we're really getting paid by some company, for now, we have no skin in the game beyond our personal investments in a product. So if we say something is good or something's bad, that's because we actually think that, not because we're trying to maintain a relationship.
And something else that I just want to let people know is, if we ever do sign on to one of these companies, it would only ever be with a company that we like anyways. Because with us, there's like, I know at least with me, I feel so icky on the inside. Like my body and my soul won't let me sell out just so disgustingly, like if I ended up selling out to like Taurus, okay, boom, Taurus is the perfect. If I ever simp for Taurus, you will know that something, that's not to say like the G3 and G4 series, all that, they're decent for the money, but It's one of those things. At the end of the day, guys, I carry a staccato. If I start simping for Taurus, you know that something went really wrong. But something else to be aware of is even YouTubers that don't have relationships, like, Colion Noir is the obvious one, right? Where he's getting cut big checks to feature, FN and Kimber and stuff like that. And granted, those are probably products that he normally likes, but we have to take into consideration that if he saw an issue with one of those guns, if he had a Kimber that was malfunctioning, he would probably reach out to Kimber, have a new one sent or have a new one fixed and just not tell you about it. Versus us, we have an issue, we're going to share it because at the end of the day, we're all a part of the same community of people who buy guns. We want to steer you in the right direction. Like even though our community is fractured and all this stuff, I still love every single Pro 2A patriotic person. I want to make sure that you are getting the best you can for your dollar when it comes to a gun. But be aware, even people who don't get guns from these companies want to maintain good relationships with the reps so they can get invited to industry events and be featured on Instagram stories. And there are even people like, someone like Honest Outlaw, for example, who is probably the best gun channel on YouTube as far as honest reviews go. I'm sure it's a yes moment when he has a really good experience with a gun because he knows that company's going to put his video on their website and they're going to share it on Instagram and Facebook and all of this stuff. And it's going to steer a lot of traffic towards his channel. So just something to be aware of. He isn't, I've never met him, but man, do I have a lot of respect that he has been able to maintain his integrity. But I can imagine that when he has a good video, he's like, yes, this company's going to share this video and it's going to be awesome for the channel.
As a consumer myself, Brett's a consumer as well. We don't want bad companies and bad products to be taking off. We want either that to be fixed or we want to be promoting good companies and good practices because I don't want to keep buying stuff that rusts or ammo that keeps exploding. I want that to be a one and done. And then all my other experiences are positive. I want to share those positive experiences. If there are negative experiences, I will let you guys know, but I would like it to be positive. So that way I have positive experiences. When the macro was crap, I was out like $1,000, all things considered, holsters, magazines, all that. That was something I had to sell, and I sold it at a significant loss. No one wanted to buy my rusty macro for MSRP. And when it came to like the zinc point ammo, I still have no resolution of that company. I still am out the money originally I was. Yeah, Venom sent me ammo. Yeah, Glock fixed my gun. But ultimately, I'm still out. I'm still at a loss with that. And that was still a negative experience, right? Having something explode in your hands is not a fun time. However, I'm going to call that out because I don't want that to happen again. Even though it might get me some negative traction, even though there might be some haters on my channel, I would rather that be what occurs than cover it up, hide it, and ultimately bad practices keep occurring in the industry, which hurts me as a consumer and hurts you as a consumer.
I know when I saw the X macro stuff that you were doing, and I was like, dude, there's no way that finish is that bad. You're just like, you're sweating on that. You're not cleaning it. And you're like, I am. And I was like, and you put your money where your mouth was and you sent it to me. And that's how we met. And then I got it and I wore it for a day and I sweated on it. And I was like, oh no, my P365 and the XL didn't do this. This is a faulty finish, 100%. Either that, or it could have even been the steel. Like it could have even been the person supplying their steel lied to them about the makeup of the steel, and the steel is what was rusting. Either way, by me not covering that up and being honest about that experience, I'm hoping that SIG sees that and they're like, man, our steel supplier screwed us. Or, ooh, this new thing that we were trying with a finish that was a little bit cheaper for us is causing problems. And I'm hoping that they course correct and fix that. I don't want to be like, oh man, SIG's horrible, never buy SIG. I hope SIG sinks and burns to the ground. No, man, I want SIG to be great. I want them to improve. And that's why it's called constructive criticism. And I also want to make the consumer aware, hey, this is something that might happen to you. And if it does, they're not going to warranty it, which is another reason to share it, right? Because maybe SIG will start warrantying it for people after we make a little bit of a stink about it. We just kind of expose their crappy stuff. So that's at least why it's important to me to be honest in these reviews.
Yeah, and that is the other thing is we don't, like I said, you don't want those companies to fail. You want them to succeed because as much as I like Glocks, I still want them to have to innovate, to do new things, to make a better product, to make another generation that improves in some way or another. And if SIG is just a steaming pile of crap and it sinks into the ocean, Glock loses one of their biggest competitors and then they don't have to change at all, right? I don't think Glock would be making some of the changes they are if it wasn't for companies like SIG, companies like Smith & Wesson, right? These new striker-fired guns that are actual competition. The 43X and 48, while it is Still not doesn't have the capacity and everything. They probably never even would have made it if it wasn't for the P365. So while people think we hate these companies, like Brett with his Shadow Systems video, there's plenty of people think he's a Shadow Systems hater. No, Shadow Systems is an awesome company. I'm about to pick one up myself and do a review and a video on it, depending on my experience and all that good stuff, because they're taking Glocks and making them better out of the box. Like, that sounds amazing. Like, my favorite gun, but better. Yeah, let's do that. So if he has an issue with it, of course he wants people to be aware of it because he wants the company to fix their problems. And I think we all as a consumer have to be, yep, if there's a problem with the gun, we want the company to be called out on it. We want them to fix it so there's competition in the market. And so you don't have massive companies like Glock, massive companies like Trigicon, who for years didn't change their designs or anything, who sued a company because they had a design that essentially beat them out, right? They sued HoloSun for the dumbest thing ever, the buttons, because HoloSun was just making a better product instead of just innovating. So we want that innovation, and we want to call companies out on their BS so there continue to be good competition in the market.
And I think a great example of that is LTT, right? The Langdon Tactical trigger that I had in the Glock. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of LTT. Excellent, amazing, Pro 2A, patriotic people over there. I love them as a company. And I know that there are people who are maybe, sponsored or have a relationship with LTT that wouldn't talk bad about that Glock trigger job. And I didn't even want to do it because they're great people. And you kind of pushed me like, hey, dude, you need to let people know about this. And that LTT trigger for the Glock is not great. It's a drop-in Apex trigger that they kind of polish up. And it's not as great as they make it out to be. So with Langdon Tactical, love their Beretta stuff. It's the industry best. Forget Wilson Combat. If you want anything Beretta related, Langdon Tactical is 100% the way to go, even over Beretta. So 100% recommend them. I made that video about their Glock trigger because, one, I don't want people to waste their money on a Glock trigger that's not good. And number two, I really hope that they innovate and improve that trigger. So again, that's why honesty is just really valued for me.
All right, guys, if you like the video, if this video is useful to you to kind of get an idea of why I make the videos I do, the way I make my videos, the way Brett makes his videos, go leave a like down below. If you hate us because Brett's glasses are too big and my eyebrows are too bushy, there's a dislike button for a reason. Otherwise, guys, head in the comments. I would love to hear your guys' opinions on reviews, on shills, on people's relationship with companies, on our videos, right? Do you think maybe there's something that we should be considering in our reviews that we aren't currently, a way we could be changing it up, or a different way for us to address things to you guys when we do have an issue? Go in the comment section, leave that. Otherwise, guys, go check out Brett's channel, right? Nightwood Guns on YouTube, at Nightwood Guns on Instagram. He's a great channel. Actually, when I first saw his channel a couple of years ago, it kind of, and then recently back last year, I was watching some of his videos again. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to start making YouTube videos consistently. So I started making videos, and here we are. I ended up, becoming friends with him. So check out his channel. And of course, guys, I'm releasing new videos every Saturday. Subscribe and stay tuned.